Добрый вечер всем y buenos días a todos los conectados desde Colombia. So today the School of Politics and Law of Almaty Management University is glad to host a seminar on the topic Geopolitics of Colombia for Beginners. We are very glad to have here with us some honorable guests from Santo Tomás University. Let me briefly introduce them. So we have with us Anджело Флорес and Николас Вилья, lecturers at Santo Tomás University. Thank you very much for your participation in this seminar and for introducing us to the geopolitics of Colombia. And it's here with us also a colleague and a friend, Alberto Castillo, who is the Dean of the Government and International Relations Faculty of Santo Tomás University. So, we are very glad to see you here. I please ask everyone else to switch off the microphone, okay? Yeah. So that we can hear well the other.
Zoom всегда такие, не знаю почему.
Okay. So the time is limited, so I will immediately give the floor actually to Alberto, and please, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, and thank you very much, dear Dean Alberto, for the initiative to strengthen academics ties between Kazakhstan and Colombia. To all the students, professors, Daniel, and administrative directives who are with us, I send you a warm greeting. And from today, students from Alma University are welcome to the Santo Tomás University, and we hope that this with this event will encourage research and also interest in Colombia and Latin America. I don't want to spend too much time as Professor Angelo and Nicolas will address the fundamental issues, but I would like to comment that Colombia is a country with great potential in the region. However, it has been immersed in a non-international armed conflict since the beginning of the Cold War, approximately, a conflict in which guerrillas such as the FARC, ELN, and later the paramilitary groups such the United Self-Defense Force of Colombia have influenced Colombia's external dynamics with its neighbors, especially the close relationship with the United States of America. Additionally, another important aspect to consider is drug trafficking, the production of cocaine, which generates large sums of money. And it's part of the trafficking of transnational criminal organizations. To close a relationship with the United States has turned Colombia into an ally of Americans in the region and fundamental country in the Andean zone. So Colombia is constantly working to consolidate regional integration process. However, in Latin America, there are multiple integrations attempts, such as the Organization of American States that emerged in 1948, the Andean Community of Nations, the South America Common Market, the Pacific Alliance, the South America Union of Nations, and the last one, the Prosur. These types of initiatives generate a plurality of regional organizations that often seek the same thing and duplicate their functions and competences. But a characteristic of Latin American foreign policy is that it's based on a strong presidentialism. That means that sometimes we are alienated as a region, and other times each one seeks its own benefit. So I hope this talk makes you want to know more about Colombia and the Latin America region. If you wish to do research on this, you can count on us with us to help and you achieve your goals. And thank you all very much for your attention. And we continue with the Professor Angelo and Professor Nicolas. Thank you very much. Professor Angelo.
Thank you so much, Alberto, Daniel, dear students. Thank you so much for your invitation. We are really proud, very happy to be with you. Saliem, everyone. So we will start with some slides. Could we present them?
Yes, sure. Do you have access? Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, it says that you have to approve it, Alberto.
Okay.
Please. Thank you.
Let me approve it. Okay, that should work.
Okay, thank you so much. So yes, we are three, Ordin Alberto, Nicolás Villa, and me. First of all, we want to say hi in Kazakh, Saliem, right? So Saliem, everyone. And then we will start to present you some things about the geopolitics of Colombia and South America and Latin America. So first of all, I think that Nicolás Villa is going to start with the slides. Nicolás, please. Nicolás. Del micrófono, Nico. It seems that he has some problems with his microphone. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I see him connected, but I'm not sure that this work has maybe some problem with microphone.
Yeah. Now.
Hello.
Ah, now.
Okay.
Whoops.
Okay, sorry, we tried it before and something happened in this Zoom, but okay, thank you very much. And well, I'm glad to be here, of course, and very honored as well. Hello to, of course, colleagues, deans, and students. So, straight to the point. Of course, well, as you probably already know, Colombia is situated in South America. Right, and it's if we could continue to the next slide again. There. So we have let's say a particular situation because we actually have coasts on both oceans, both Atlantic and Pacific.
We still had some problem with microphone now. We don't hear you, Nicolas.
All right, third time.
Perfect. Now it's perfect.
Sorry about that. Okay. So, as I was saying, Colombia is one of the 17 mega diverse countries in the world, which means that there is a huge amount of species of plants and animals in any given region, right? Also, we're, let's say, blessed, so to speak, with many natural resources, which of course, as you know, also usually creates problems, political, social, economic, and so on and so on. We have three, the Andean mountain range splits into three when it reaches Colombia. What this means is that in Colombia, you can experience a wide array of climates, from deserts and rainforests to very cold, high in the mountains. And also that the people of Colombia have been, let's say, separated to some extent by the geography. So, of course, that has also affected our history and our development. In fact, during most of our history, it was easier to take merchandise, goods from China to our Atlantic coast than from our Atlantic coast to our capital city. because the terrain is so difficult, so rugged. This also actually means that aviation actually started very early in Colombia. One of the first, I believe, commercial airlines actually started in Colombia, and it still exists up to today. So, you know, our history is certainly affected by geography, and not only our history, but our society, our commerce, you know, pretty much everything about Colombia has been affected by our geography. If we could continue, please. Okay, now getting a bit into economics, Colombia is still, let's say, getting there. You know, coincidentally, when I was doing my bachelor's, there was this class called development. And in development class, I actually had to study Kazakhstan. And I remember that one of the lessons of that class was that, you know, achieving development is much easier than maintaining, you know, high development indexes. So yeah, Colombia we're still getting there, to be honest. You know, we're, let's say, average development in many aspects. Now, as you can observe, our exports are mostly, you know, basic primary source commodities. And our trading partners are actually, you know, mostly the US and China, right? So, you know, we're not very diversified in terms of what we export or where we export to. You know, of course, there's internal debate on the reason for that, but let's say it's a historical continuity, you know. Before we've exported quinoa, cereals, tobacco, coffee, it's always, you know, a single crop economy. And now it's you know, it's more the crude petroleum and this sort of things, right? There is, of course, you know, this big taboo on illegal exports, right? Which I don't want to get too much into, but, you know, reports say that maybe a fourth of illegal exports, let's say that illegal exports count for 1/4 of our legal exports, you know, it's around the number, you know, it's hard to quantify anyway, but yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, and this, of course, are our imports. So because we're not, let's say, an extremely industrialized nation, we do have to import a lot from the world. Now, if you compare us with our partner, let's say, I'm sorry, with our neighbors, you know, we are actually quite an industrialized nation, you know, with our immediate partners. Now, I forgot to tell you this, but if you look at our flag, it's actually very, very similar to that of our neighbors. It's because actually we were once all the same country, right? And the name Colombia itself refers to, you know, the new world from a European perspective. Colombia as the land of Christopher Columbus, right? It's basically a synonym for America, right? I wanted to make that clear as well. So, you know, this is, you know, our basic economic or, you know, balance of trade outlook. And, you know, getting to that industrialized, let's say, stage it's also a bit of debate here in Colombia, right? You know, how to get there actually, you know, what sort of development strategy to implement is a source of debate. Colombia is a country that's, you know, where political differences are still, you know, a source of conflict. Can we please continue? Right, and then we get to our, you know, our people, you know, people in society. We're around 50 million people, more or less 50 million people. 1/10 of our population, around 5 million, is actually outside of Colombia, you know, migration and so on. And we're mixed race because of our colonial experience, where we have the native peoples that already inhabited Colombia, and then we have European, mainly Spanish influence, and also African influence from the slave trade. You know, we have a different mix of people, right? Once, you know, or actually throughout most of our colonial history, you actually had a caste system very rigid caste system where you actually had 16 official races, depending on, different mixes and so on. But today, let's say that actually population is fairly, homogeneous, and we're all pretty much all mixed race, 87%. Nonetheless, you'll find, people that look different throughout the country, right? We're also a country of regions. So depending on where you go in Colombia, you'll see many specificities in terms of accents and even, appearances and so on. We also, it's still a problem. We also suffer from large inequality between the urban region and the rural region, right? So an urban Colombian might, have a lot more in common with, Alberto in Kazakhstan or in Italy, or you students listening, than with somebody who's maybe 45 minutes away, right, by car, because, our differences are so accentuated. And that, of course, also creates social unrest, right? Colombia's population is mostly Catholic. Until 1991, we had, let's say, an openly Catholic constitution. Now it's more, let's say, modern and so on since 1991. But yeah, that's sort of the outlook, right? At least, let's say, genetically and so on. But yeah, if we could continue. Now, culturally, let's say many historical events that Angelo will explain have created this outlook, where, this is, I take this cultural dimension theory from Hofstede, a Dutch psychologist. And well, he actually mentions that Colombians, when you measure us as a country, there's a lot of power distance, which means that we accept that there are more powerful people and less powerful people as part of nature, right? Just part of the landscape, So yeah, we have that tradition, as well, because we had also very, very stern castes. Individualism, we're actually very much a collective society, which means that whatever our informal group believes is what we're going to believe, very loyal to their, views on life and society and so on. We score very high in masculinity, meaning that we're very goal driven, right? We like to achieve those goals, and we'll probably maybe be ruthless in achieving those goals, and we're status oriented. While we're not very much into, let's say, caring or the general good or so on or so. But we score high on that very dimension. We don't like change, we don't like uncertainty, so we tend to be conservative. We're more short-term oriented, and we like the pleasures of life, right? So we indulge in the pleasures of life. So yeah, that's a bit us. If you want to know us, if you ever, hopefully you will come to Colombia, that's a bit what you can expect. And I think that's it for me. I'm not sure. Yes. So that's it for me. I hope that gives you at least an introductory glance into what Colombia and its people are. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nicolas. So I want to present you first Colombia in context. I mean, in the region, in South America and Latin America. But for me, it would be nice to hear you. If you have any question or if you have any comment, just do it. That's fine for me, and we will enjoy it. So first of all, we want to explain you two basic concepts. South America and Latin America, they are different concepts. So the first concept, South America, is just a geographical concept. It means like the southern part of the Americas, and it starts from the north with Colombia, and it ends to the south with Argentina and Chile. That's just a geographical concept. But Latin America is a cultural concept. It requires a little bit more explanation. So Latin America derives from the words Latin and America. And yeah, it means the region where, or the countries where we speak a Romance language. In the case of Latin America, we have three important Latin languages, Romance languages. So first, we have many countries that speak Spanish in the region. So do you know any country that speaks Spanish in the Americas?
All the countries except Brazil, Guyana.
Yeah, most of the countries we speak Spanish, for example, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, Mexico, right? But we have also countries in Central America, for example, Guatemala, El Salvador, they speak Spanish too. But we have other countries that speak other languages that are Romance languages. For example, Brazil. In Brazil, they speak Portuguese. But also we have some regions in Latin America, in the Americas, that speak French. For example, in Haiti, for example, in Quebec, in Canada. So they are part of Latin America too. So it is very important to know the difference between South America and Latin America, because one is more like geographical and the other one is more cultural. And it's interesting to know a little bit more about the culture and the cultures in Latin America, right? Okay, so let's go just a little bit to study history of South America, of Colombia. As Nicolas said, before the arrival of the Spaniards, Colombia was populated by indigenous people. We had like many tribes, and they were conquered by the Spanish during the 16th century. As Nicolas said, the name of the country comes from Christopher Columbus. That's why it is called Colombia. And Christopher Columbus was a sailor, an Italian sailor, who was working for the Spanish Empire. And he came here by accident. And he and his friends conquered South America, part of the Americas. And they created a huge empire, the Spanish Empire. And that's why we speak Spanish. We speak Spanish not because the natives that were here before the arrival of the Hispanics, they had different languages, but we learned the language of the conquerors, right? We also learned the religion of the conquerors, as Nicolas said too. The majority of Colombians, the majority of South Americans, the majority of Latin Americans, we are Catholic, and we're Catholic because of that. When the Hispanics came, when the Spaniards came to South America, they tried to convert the Aboriginals, the natives, and that's why we have like big churches in South America, big churches in Mexico. That's why we speak Spanish too. What happened to the natives? The natives were conquered by the Spanish, and most of them at the beginning of the conquest, they were enslaved. However, some Catholic priests, they tried to show that they were human too. They were against making them slaves. So natives stopped being slaves, and the Hispanic king and Spanish rule, they brought Africans to work over here. That explains why we are so mixed in Latin America, right? In Latin America, you have like white people, native people, mixed people, black people. For example, if you look at our football team, you can see that. I know that in Kazakhstan, you like to football. In Italy, of course, you love football. Perhaps you have seen a match in which Colombia is playing, and if you see the team, you could see that diversity. That's not an exception for Colombia. It happens in many countries in Latin America and South America. It happens also in Brazil. If you see the Brazilian team, you can see that diversity too. If you see the Mexican team, you can see the same thing. So that's why we speak Spanish. That's why most of the people are Catholic. That's why we are mixed, because we are the product of the conquest, of the Spanish conquest, the mix of races too, between natives, Spanish, European, and Africans too. Okay, so the Hispanics, the Spaniards ruled like for 3 centuries. And then we got the independence. We had an independence process that, like 2 wars, from 1810 to 1819, sorry, and we became independent. The leaders of our independence were descendants of Spaniards. They became the elite. They tried to fight against that social pyramid, that system of caste, as Nicolas said, and they tried to make Colombia a republic based in modern ideas, liberal ideas. That's why we became a republic. And most of the time, after the Spanish conquest, after the independence, that's why we became a republic, a democratic republic, with some problems, of course, but we vote, we elect our Congress, we elect our president, and we preserve that system. We had some periods of our history in which we were ruled by a dictator, but most of the time we were a republic, and we are still a republic. We still are a republic. We elect our Congress, we elect our president, and we preserve that system. What's happening right now in Colombia, as Nicolas said, after the independence, we had many problems that we inherited from the conquest, from the Spanish rule, and one of the most important problems is inequality. So, as Nicolas said, if you come to Bogota, you'll see like very high buildings, skyscrapers, you call it in English, right? Very high buildings, but you see also favelas. I don't know if you know the concept, like very poor neighborhoods where they don't have light, they don't have water, they don't have like minimal things. So that's part of what we inherited from the Spanish rule. And that's a very important problem, as Nicolas said too, and Ordine said too. One of the highest problem or most important problems that we have in South America and Latin America is violence. Colombia had many civil wars, and right now we don't have a civil war, but we have a conflict that is based in ideology. Of course, we had Marxist guerrillas like FARC, like ELN, as Ordine said. We have far-right groups like paramilitares, but also we have a huge problem with drug dealers, as Nicolas said. A big part of our economy comes from drug dealers. So our government is fighting against drug dealers, against guerrillas, and sometimes against far-right groups too. Right now, violence has decreased a little bit compared to 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but we still have some problems in some areas of the country. For example, not in Bogota, not in big cities, but we still have problems with that. Our economy is growing a lot. We have a good economy, especially as Nicolas said, in big cities, but we still have that problem of inequality, right? So that's one of the things that we have to improve. So we have 10 minutes more. I think that could be interesting to hear you. Do you have any question? We would like to hear you. We would like to hear your questions.
Well, first of all, let me thank you very much for your presentation, Alberto, Nicolas, and Angelo. I think that here in Kazakhstan, we have a kind of distorted image about Colombia. I mean, the main reference point probably are Hollywood movies. And so you can imagine of what kind of perspective and interpretations we might have about Colombia. So maybe different from Kazakhstan, I mean, from the other side, from Colombian people about Kazakhstan. Here in Kazakhstan, people know about Colombia, know about the existence of the state, but then actually we have the most of the time there is a kind of stereotypical perception about the country. And I would say that actually was very interesting also about when you presented the Hofstede scenario, because I saw that there are several points in common with Kazakhstan, actually. Some differences as well. Probably the main one are in relation to the risk acceptance, actually, that I think that in Kazakhstan is much higher than in Colombia. And in relation to the indulgence. In this case, actually, maybe they are less indulgent than the spirit of Colombia, but also, maybe actually this is also growing. And I actually have a question, but first maybe I would like to hear as our guest, I mean our listener here, if they would like to propose their own question. And I will keep mine as the last one. So please, is anyone here who would like to propose a question?
I just would like to thank for the presentation of Colombia. When I have worked for the Red Cross, we had my colleagues who worked for the Red Cross in Colombia in a conflict with FARC. So it's quite interesting. It was quite interesting for me to hear your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so while Azar will think about their question, I will ask mine. So you raised the point that, I mean, one of the key, or maybe the main problem is related to inequality, which is actually, as you show, it has historical roots. My question is how much, I mean, there are two connected questions. First, how much inequality is affecting the potential development of Colombia economically? I mean, in which sense actually this phenomenon is constraining what actually might represent the Colombian perspective of development? And the second question is, taking consideration Colombia and Latin America, do you believe Colombia might become the kind of leading country in the region, or one of the leading countries in the region? So the one that actually will affect or have a strong influence all over the other. Because from the external perspective, we talked maybe sometimes about Brazil as the potential leading country in Latin America, but due to cultural issues that are a bit different from the rest, in particular the language, that might have an aspect of constraint. Sometimes we look at Mexico, but still the geographical position is a bit more at the borders compared, for example, like a country like Colombia. So I would like to see whether Colombia might be really and effectively be the key country for the whole region.
So I don't know, Nicolas, would you like to answer the first one, and I can answer the second one?
Sure. Yes, the issue of inequality, that pressing issue in our history and in our current events. There is, if there is one topic, like you say, one issue that affects all our society and history and politics, I think it is inequality. And more specifically, the absence of proper land reform. We haven't been able to do that many consider is an appropriate and necessary measure towards modernization. So we were never able to do that. We even in 2016 when we signed the state signed the peace deal with FARC, the peace accords, part of those accords mandated land reform, which still hasn't happened. So as long as you don't have opportunities, for development and mobility, you're going to have, let's say, labor, so to speak, human labor for all the illegal activities, be it drug trafficking, armed conflict, whatever. That's where they get the people, from basically poverty, absence of opportunities. So, I agree with you. As long as this issue is not properly addressed, the issue of inequality, then it's going to be very difficult, right? Now, the problem is that because we have the drug trade, that actually does create at least economic opportunities for many people. So while sometimes legality can't offer those opportunities, illegality can. And that, of course, exacerbates our conflict because people really, when given the choice between hunger and money, they'll usually go for money. So So yeah, as long as that, yes.
Maybe at one point, but for instance, I was reading that like in the city of Medellin, some significant improvements were made. I mean, in terms of how to make a connection between the favelas and the city center, for example, so that actually this might favor or foster a process of social mobility. So people that even if once they was living in the favelas, now they have faster access to the part of the city where there are most of the employments, and so actually this might somehow support some changes. So yes, so I would like your opinion about that.
There are attempts and successful attempts in the cities. The thing is that there are two, let's say, besides the social inequality, there's the geographical inequality. So, for example, some parts of Colombia will have development indexes of, let's say, sub-Saharan Africa, while others will have European Union development indexes in the cities. So that's another issue that needs to be addressed, right, between, you know, the actual regions. So yeah, you'll find successful and innovative development ideas and opportunities, but mostly within the urban areas. Yeah, and just very quick on your second question, we've been named a country of a median country, like, you know, like our soccer team is good but not so good, and we have, you know, we're always like third or fourth but never first. That's say in the culture, you know, it's part of our. You know, it'd be interesting to have Colombia as a leading nation in the region. But I think, you know, my personal opinion, because of specific aspects, you know, population, territory, I'm not sure if we get there. If we do, it is because, you know, we have a very, very innovative and modernizing government that actually does tap into our resources. Basically, you know, having two oceans and let's say being a gateway into South America. If they can manage to do that, then sure, why not? We can be a leading country in the region.
I would like to add something. As Nicolas says, inequality affects the development of Colombia because there is a great concentration of wealth in a few citizens, and that affects education and health. For example, the territorial peripheral areas of the center of power have problems to be connected, and that makes the change much more expensive. In addition, inequality generates a scenario that favors illegal groups. So I want only to add that, Angelo.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have an answer for the second question. So I believe, Alberto, you're right in the sense that Colombia could be a leader of the region. It is a big country, a growing economy, big population. However, I think that there is something related to our foreign policy. Our foreign policy tends to be more connected to the US than to the region. So that makes difficult for Colombia for being like the leader of the region. I'd say that Mexico, Argentina, they really want to be the leaders, and historically Brazil too. Brazil historically tried to be the leader of the region, but now it's changing. President Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil right now, he changed that. He's more connected now to the US, or he was connected to the US during the time of Trump. But he wants to be more connected to America, I mean, to the US than to the region. So right now, I would say that perhaps Mexico could be the leader of the region, Argentina in some sense, Chile too, but not Colombia, not Brazil.
Okay, thank you very much, dear friends from Colombia, for your presentation. Unfortunately, our time is over. We have just 30 seconds. So let me thank you again. And I hope that this will be just our first step to getting closer, and that maybe in the future we might have other opportunities of cooperation in terms of seminars or research or everything else.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you, and see you on 2 March.
Tuesday next week. Okay, thank you very much, all. Thank you very much. And thank
Bye.
you to all our guests. Goodbye, everyone.